Hello everyone, this is Sam and this is Khalid, and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another comparison. For today's video we have the 2021 Yukon Denali, and on my left side we have the 2020 Yukon Denali. We're going to compare them against each other, find out what's new for 2021 GMC Yukon Denali to the old model. Do you get new features? Do you get more space? How's the ride? What kind of engines are they offering for 2021? And is it actually worth buying this over that? That's the goal for today's video. I'm going to show you everything you need to know, how the new compares to the old one, and then we're going to take them for a test drive and see how they do on the road, how different they are in terms of ride quality and so on. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and follow me on Instagram to find out the upcoming video. At the same time, special thanks goes to our good friends at Applewood GM, a GM dealership located in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. If you want to reach out to them, get a discount or promo, don't forget, hit the link below and you'll be able to get a hold of a sales consultant. At the same time, don't forget to check out conquestcars.ca for new reviews, and of course I write articles in that website and monthly deals if you are in Ontario, Canada. Now let's get back to this too, and let's talk about what do they offer. But first, let's start with the price. Which one will cost you more? Of course, the 2021 Denali will cost you more compared to the older model. And the reason is very simple. They've added a lot of extra features, and of course, the vehicle is much bigger. Okay, before we get into detail, let me show you the key fobs. These are the key fobs for both vehicles. This is the new key fob, as you can see. What do we have in here? Well, of course, for the tailgate, you have two options for the tailgate: to completely open it or close it or keep it halfway. At the same time, we have a remote start in the new one. In the old one, as you can see, it's similar as well with actual remote start. So the options are very similar on both. The only difference is the shape. Now, let's get back into this two here. Let me show you the exterior, how different they are. First of all, as you can see, this one here is much bigger compared to the older model. At the same time, now we have a massive grille in the front. As you can see, huge headlights. At the same time, this has the C on the GMC name. GMC says this represents the letter C. Full LED headlights, same thing with the tail lights, and then we have the fog lights at the bottom. But the grille itself, as you can see, is huge. The Denali's trademark Galvano chrome grille is larger and more detailed, featuring 10,000 individual reflective surfaces. The GMC, as I said, the C-shaped front lighting signature, LED illumination for the daytime running lamps. LEDs are also used for the headlamps, tail lamps, fog lamps, and other elements, with the lenses constructed from durable material with an almost crystalline quality. As you can see, sharp, definitely sharp headlights. Now let me show you a bit of a beautiful design on this thing. Besides the actual C line, you can also see three diamond style headlamps, and then we have the fog lights at the bottom. On the older model was a bit different. We have LED headlights, but the shape is much different, and this does seem a bit smaller, but we did get, of course, the fog lights at the bottom. The grille as well is so much different. Less of this part here compared to that. If you can see, we have over 10,000, they're saying, compared to this part. Now, let's move on to the back and let me show you what do they offer. This is the current model, the 2020 Yukon Denali. This is the XL. Power liftgate, of course. You have LED tail lights in this model, and at the same time we have the brake light located at the top, the tow-in hitch, and of course power liftgate. Now let's open this and let me show you what this thing offers. Massive trunk space, and then we have the buttons here for the third row and the second row seats. We have some extra space at the bottom in here that you can use, but what has changed in the 2021 is so much different than this. So let's jump into the 2021 model. I'm going to show you exactly what it offers. First of all, massive tail lights, and again it goes across all the way here. The brake light is still at the top, and then we have this massive quad exhaust tips at the back. This thing sounds glorious, and it's probably one of the most powerful SUVs in the lineup at the moment. You have quad exhaust at the back. The tailgate is also powered, and similar to the older model, this actually has the option to slide your foot under. Now, let's come in here and let me show you what this thing offers. First, similar features that you got in the older model you have for the third row and the second row, that you can fold the recliner. This, you can unfold the third row and fold it back. You have a bit more space in here, as you can see. Much more space actually than the older model, but this model here is not the XL. So the one that we have on the other side is actually the XL, which will be more extended in the back. This is the standard model. What about dimensions? Exactly how much bigger is the new one compared to the older model? The 2020 Yukon grows even more in terms of usable space for customer. While nearly 5-inch longer, 127 millimeters wheelbase, and 6-inch increase in the overall length compared to the current model, it offers 41% more third row leg room and 66% greater cargo volume behind the third row. The second row seat can slide 5.5 inches. The current model is 116 inches wheelbase. The new model is 120.9. The overall length on the old model is 203.9. Meanwhile, in the current model, you're looking at 210 inches long. The leg room in the third row was 24.5. Now it's 34.9. The new model offers air ride suspension system, something you wouldn't find in the older model, even the XL. The available 4-corner air ride adaptive suspension system offers ride height adjustment for up to 4 inches, as well as an automatic self-leveling feature. Drivers can raise the body up to 2 inches or 50 millimeters for additional ground clearance when driving off-road, in case if you ever wanted to take this off-road. In higher speed highway, the system automatically lowers the Yukon's ride by almost 20 millimeters to improve the aerodynamics and fuel efficiency. A driver selectable setting enacts 2 inches drop to air passenger entry and exit when the vehicle is parked. The self-leveling feature helps with comfort and control, particularly when the vehicle is loaded with cargo or when you're traveling. So all those extra features come with the air ride system, something that in the older model wasn't available. Now, let's talk about what do they have under the hood and how do they compare. They both have V8 engines, the 6.2 liter on one side, the 6.2 liter on the other side. For 2020, the Yukon and the Yukon XL, drivers will have the option to choose 2 engines. You can get the 5.3 liter or a 6.2 liter. The 6.2 liter V8 engine delivering 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, more than any competitor. The standard engine is an old and new 5.3 liter V8. The 5.3 and 6.2 liter engines feature the start-stop technology and of course the new dynamic fuel management that enables the engine to operate in 2 or 8 cylinders. You can also pick a 3-liter inline-6 turbo diesel engine. All 3 engines are paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission with the GMC electronic precision shift push-button gear selector. Let's move on to the second row and third row and let me show you what do they offer and how do they compare. Like the older model, you're still getting running boards in here. Once you open the door, they will lower, of course with your key fob, and then you can get in. To move the seat forward in order to get into the third row seat, what you have to do is just press this twice, and then the beauty of this, what I love about this car, you can lift it and look at that. Now you got so much space to get in. I'm 6'2", so let's try to get into the third row seat. How easy it is. So as you can see, so much space. Now let me jump into this side as well. Similar in here. Tons of leg room. The newer model technically is supposed to have more leg room. You can also fold the seat with these buttons located onto the side into this area. And then we have the headrest, so much space. In the older model, the screens were located one here and one in the center. What they have done to give a panoramic roof option in the new model, they've taken them away and now you have them right in here. The entertainment system, one here and then one over there. What I do love about this model is specifically how the seat is folded. It's so easy to get in for someone my height. Very accessible, and I love the seats in the back. Massive and nice and comfortable. In terms of headroom, as you can see, quite a lot of headroom and much more comfortable than any standard SUV, which is why these things are huge. Now, let me jump into the second row and look at this, how I'm going to get into the second row. Because in here, we have only 7 seats. Just fold that. I can actually stand and then move this seat over here. And just look at that. This thing just needs a kitchen inside. That's technically the last thing that you'll need. So what else do we get? The entertainment system, as I said, of course, it is touchscreen. It gives you option. Let me start it up for you. So as you can see, the actual screen in here is touchscreen, the entertainment unit. So we have the GPS, and of course, you can change a lot of settings from the infotainment system in the front. And then you can close that. You can see where the GPS is, and then you go into home. You can restart that part. Here we go. So now you can connect your phone, HDMI connection, USB music as well. You have the option to turn it off, and then this is for your actual headphones. So if you want, you can get the headphones options. You have all the settings in here, video, auto replay, and so on. This is a huge screen. This is the size of an iPad Pro if you actually think about it. So it's quite useful if you have children. And it's the same thing on this side. So you have two of them. In the center, we have the climate unit. We have heated seats for the temperature, dual, one single zone. You can do modes for low, high, and so on. For the actual, for the fan as well, you can do automatic. We have two USB ports in here, and of course you have another charging cable. So a lot of features in the back, quite interesting. But what I do love a lot about this car is actually the entertainment system, which is touchscreen, very useful if you have a family. Beautiful panoramic roof. You can only open the front. You can also close the shade automatically. Now, we've covered everything you need to know in here in terms of features. About space, let me show you. Nice and comfortable. I could never complain about a car like this with this size. These are captain chairs, and of course, you can get a different style as well. If you want, you can get an extra seat in the center. The audio system in here is Bose. We have speakers in the back, speakers in the front, and these are manually adjustable, so they're not power in the second row. Anyways, let's get on to the first row, and let me show you what we have in there and how different it is from the older model. So, in the front, everything has changed. We have a new interior design, a different screen, huge screen compared to the older model. At the same time, the features are much different in here too. In terms of the convenience, what do we have? First of all, digital touch screen. You have the option for the backup camera. You can turn it on. It has 9 cameras in total, and you can switch all this positions you can see from the infotainment system. Pretty cool, very, very smart. Very similar to the other GM vehicles. The actual gear knob is actually located in here. So you have all the gears in this side. You have low and high, and you can also put it into manual transmission as well. As you can see, you have minus and plus. The start and stop button, very similar. We don't have a full digital cluster, but we have a massive 15-inch heads-up display, which is huge, and it shows you quite a lot of details. Now, into this area here, we have wireless charging pad, and the climate unit, you have heated seats, cooling seats, and so on. The radio control as well. Then we have the option to close this part. Now, the armrest is huge in this model. You can open it up, and now you have so much space in here. We have a SD card option and a USB port. Huge. What I would have loved to have in this vehicle would be the actual refrigerator or cooler, as you want to call it. So that would have been a pretty cool feature to have. Unfortunately, they don't have it with the Denali. In terms of the seats, we have power seats on each side. We have option to adjust the bolsters. For leg extension, we don't have on the driver's side anything. The steering column is powered as well, similar to the older model, which was powered. You can adjust it, as you can see, up and down, back and forth. In terms of the infotainment system, we have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now, the climate unit can be controlled for here for the front and rear side, as you can see. We have the option to change all the settings for the rear entertainment system. You can even lock that part. And then we have the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, as I mentioned previously. At the same time, you have your My GMC app, rear media as well. You can turn off the screens from here and turn it on. Quite an amazing feature, and then you can browse everything. You can also connect your device and show some of the features in there. You can change the settings for each screen. You can turn off one, turn on, or both at the same time. You have both options in here. You can control, you can lock them if you don't want the kids to play with it. And of course, the audio system as well. Lock all, mute all, and power all at the same time. Quite an amazing vehicle for all these features that are available in here. We have built-in navigation system as well. The navigation system, one of my favorite things about this, it looks exactly like an app on the phone. As you can see, quite clear, and the screen in here is so much bigger than the older model. Absolutely love the interior. What about space? how different it is from the older model. Being bigger, of course, you're getting more space. At the same time, I feel like I can actually stretch my legs. I wish this car could drive itself. It had the Super Cruise, would be amazing because it's so comfortable. What I do notice with the older model is that the actual dashboard in here, it's very similar to the new Cadillac. It's very high and it's totally flat in this side. So it feels like you can't see much in the front. I don't mind that because you can also, of course, push the seat up and you get more space, but it feels much higher than a pickup truck in my opinion. Now, it's time to take them for a test drive, and I'm going to show you how different they are, how do they compare against each other, and of course, which one drives better on the road. Okay, let's take this gigantic monster for a test drive. I put it into sport mode. The actual heads-up display is huge in this thing. It is massive. In sport mode, screaming. It takes a lot of horsepower out of the engine in order to get this thing going because it's so massive. If you've ever been in a pickup truck, think about 20 to 30% higher. This is how big this thing feels, but it feels comfortable. That's the beauty of it. You see, a lot of people hate American cars for being gigantic, but when you are in roads like in North America, you don't care. Roads are huge unless you don't know how to drive. That's the only way you might hate the roads around here or the cars. But this thing, it's so big. I feel like I can literally take over anything with this car. It's this massive SUV, it's huge. A few things that I don't like right off the bat. The gear knobs here, the gear buttons. It takes a long time to get used to it. The first day, like I've had this for a full day today, it's just, it takes so much time to like pick them and like figure out where they are. Like you need at least 2 or 3 months to get used to them, but they're not impossible. You can change between 2 wheels and 4 wheels. It also disconnects 6 piston and you can only work with 2 or 8. Like that's amazing technology. The reason behind it is to save fuel. In terms of visibility, how is it? Well, this thing has this little screen that you see in the mirror. You can switch it back to normal or you can have it a full HD. Quite amazing, very normal on the GM vehicles, Cadillac and so on. But in this model, it's very useful because it is huge. So it's very useful for backup and so on. Also, you have a massive screen here with the cameras, 9 cameras all around it. Quite impressive vehicle. So as far as the actual visibility area, you're pretty much covered. You have also blind spot assist, lane assist, and so on. Massive, massive side mirrors. Absolutely love that. Specifically in vehicle this kind of size, you need that to get to certain areas and so on. Another thing I don't like about this is the GM should have fixed it is the buttons in the center. It takes a bit of time to get used to them. There's a lot of buttons in here. I need manufacturers to get rid of buttons. Have 1 or 2 or 3 maximum, but generally I don't want that many buttons. It's very confusing. The first time I got in, I wanted to use the hazard lights on and I couldn't figure out what it was till I reached out. It was actually right here. So it took a bit of time to get used to that. The other thing is that when you put it in 4-wheel drive, it takes a bit of time to turn this because the wheels are kind of rubbing onto the ground. You have 4 wheels running at the same time. But it's amazing what it can do once you push it. It sounds really good. Is it quick? Not really. It has a couple of driving modes that you can switch the vehicle into. It's very interesting. In terms of the extra features inside, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, pretty standard in this vehicle. What I love about GM vehicles, the new models, is actually the infotainment system has changed quite a lot, very responsive. The ride quality, how does it feel in with the air suspension system? Soft. When you put it to sport mode, it's a bit bumpy. Just a bit, you can feel that. But in standard mode, it will do a fantastic job. It's really nice and comfortable. Yeah, this feels a bit slower than the newer model. Absolutely slower than the newer model. But what I like about this is that it doesn't feel as high off the ground. At the same time, it's not massive inside. The difference in size, what GM is telling us about the new GMC is noticeable in terms of the actual space overall. Even like here for me as a driver, I can feel that difference inside. In terms of the drivetrain, you still have the option to turn off 2 wheels or make it 4 wheels. And at the same time, this does offer a heads-up display as well. Not at the same size as the older model, not at the same size as the newer model. The newer model offers a bigger heads-up display. What I don't like about here, of course, is the outdated infotainment system, the center unit as well, slightly outdated at the same time. You're still getting the same features as in the new models. For example, heated seats, cooling seats, and so on. You have a beautiful climate unit here, dual zone in the front. Of course, you can adjust the rear side from here. The entertainment unit in the back, of course, is outdated. It's not touchscreen, it's not at the same level as the new model. The interior feels slightly outdated, the cluster, and so on. So yes, you're going to gain a few extra features, new design in the newer model. So that difference in price, that different increase in price is justifiable in my opinion. You're getting so much for that vehicle. The difference between this and that will be about $10,000 to $12,000. Now, if you're going to that level, then you're definitely not going to care much about that increase in price, in my opinion. Like, your main concern is mostly, is it actually better, or is it different, or is it just a waste of money? Some manufacturers, what they do when they offer us new vehicles, they say is new. It's like Apple every year brings something new, but it's technically not new, it's just basically faster and so on. In this case, we have something very interesting because GMC has brought out something that it is new. The difference is massive in terms of the design, interior, exterior, and so on. There is a huge difference between those models, in my opinion. Like, even if when you look at them side by side, you can tell that difference. At the same time, the interior is absolutely different, in my opinion. The newer model seems to me, looking at the new Cadillac Escalade, is the same design, that flat dashboard in the front and a much higher dashboard in here compared to a much higher dashboard in the new model compared to the current one that we're driving. And this doesn't feel as high, and the hood in here is a bit slanted. In the newer model is flat and is much higher. I kind of like this because you can see in the front much more compared to the new model, which is technically a bit higher in the front end. At the same time, what I don't like in here are actually the mirrors. So much smaller here compared to the new one. New one has huge mirrors both sides. Now, you're getting the actual 360 camera and so on, yes, but it's nice to have mirrors in big vehicles, especially if you're going to park them and so on. It's nice to have big mirrors in big vehicles. Some people might be happy with the 360 camera, but a lot of people still use mirrors to maneuver. So for them, it's very important. Visibility in here is good as well. You don't get that mirror in here that is basically turns into an LCD. It's a rear view camera. You only get a backup camera in this model. You don't get a 360 with this one that we have, the Denali. You don't get a 360 camera. You do get standard connectivity. It does not have any Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So this model needed a desperate update, in my opinion. So bringing out something new, something refreshed and all that is definitely something that fans have been waiting for from GM in terms of the Yukon Denali. Great vehicle, even the older model, and probably you're gonna get good discount in this model with the new one coming out with that huge difference in tech, feature, space, power, and so on. You will definitely see people steering towards the new model, so which means the current model will be heavily discounted by dealerships in order for them to clear out their inventory. So it's definitely something to look into and compare them. Is it huge difference? Like, is there any things that you can't live without it in the new model? I wouldn't think so. I mean, the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are pretty much the ones that you're looking for. The big screen in the front, the entertainment system in the back as well. Those are some of the things. I'm sure you can figure out a way to update the current model, probably add a bigger screen. They've done it with pickup trucks where they put this massive infotainment system that looks like a Tesla inside. So you still have those aftermarket options. But at the end of the day, you're getting a massive vehicle. This one, unfortunately, is the XL, which is the bigger one. We didn't have a current standard Denali, but the difference is mostly the size, not necessarily the shape between the standard Denali and the XL. So, with that in mind, thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe at the same time. Don't forget to check out Apple with GM. If you want to take the new model for a test drive, you can reach out to them through our link in the description box. At the same time, don't forget to check out conquestcars.ca for more information about new vehicles. At Conquest Cars, we offer new models coming out, new deals for Ontario, and of course, single reviews besides comparisons that I do in my own channel. With that in mind, thanks for watching, and please be safe. Cheers.